The biggest form of generational wealth is self-love.
Man, it is so complex. It's not one thing. To me, it's not one thing. When you talk about, of course, we talk about systematic oppression. Even if we talk about gang culture, somebody will do something to us outside of our race, and we will give them a pass. But let a brother do something to us, somebody that look like us, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. We going all the way out. We gonna shoot the house up. We gonna do whatever we gonna do, because what really is happening is that you don't have love for yourself. So you're that way. You can turn that and then go do something to another brother because you don't see that brother as yourself. But if we start looking at, that's my brother, I can see that as my, instead of using the N word and saying, hey, brother, it's hard to say, man, I'm gonna kill that brother. That don't sound right. You know what I'm saying? We talk about that. I'm gonna F that brother up. Man, that don't kind of sound right. But if you looked at it as and just tried to incorporate brother for the N word as we use it all the time, it'll kind of take some of the, you be like, man, if I really truly look at that brother as a brother, but it's really a reflection of you. That's why you're able to go and do something to a brother so easily, because you don't have that self-worth of yourself. And if you see yourself as a king, or you see yourself as whatever you want to call it, whatever title we want to put on it, I know king is the new buzzword, but whatever title we want to call it, if you see yourself as that, you're probably going to see the next black man as the same thing.
And I found myself trying to really change that narrative a lot, bro, because king, it's the new buzzword, but we got to realize that we are that, instead of being caught up into this system and, we kind of being fed what to think and fed what to believe. So we lost a feeling of self-worth in terms of who we are. We don't even know who we are. So that's why we can have those type arguments when you sitting in the car looking at some dudes on the side of the road who's supposed to be pushing off, positive self-worth, but they still kind of trapped in the mindset of the system and how it was designed, bro. If we normalize the situation, talk about it a lot, and keep having these type of talks and dialogues, and people really, truly try to be receptive to what's being said and actually listen, because one of the biggest faults that we have is tradition. Bro, all we do is be stuck with tradition, down to the things that we eat, down to the things that we say, how we dress, how we move. I ain't gonna say all of it, but a lot of stuff it was by design and coming all the way back from like slavery. You know what I'm saying? So that mentality getting pushed down, bodies wanting to shake it, because guess what? It was tradition. Well, my granddaddy taught me this, or my grandmama taught me this, and this is the recipe for this. So we put those negative traditions, with good memories. You don't ever want to let that go. And man, that get pushed down from generation through generation through generation, and we feeding and getting learned. We feeding and getting taught the BS, about the world in addition to ourselves.
Man, you said something, man, with and that's something that we struggle with. You said we have traditions that caught up with good memories. And I had heard it like that from bro. So I think that's why we hold on to them. Although we know these traditions really don't really make any sense. I'll give you one. We talk about we're gonna eat some black eyed peas and some collard greens on New Year's. Right. From what we heard. One is for good luck and one is for the money.
For money, right.
Man, and we still broke. So that's one of those traditions. Don't wash your clothes, and it's regional. Don't wash your clothes on New Year's. You watch somebody out your life, and it's just stupid traditions that we've been. Don't buy a person a watch. Don't buy a man. They tell females, don't buy a man a pair of shoes.
No
don't
shoes,
buy a man a watch, because it's count out. Like that stupid stuff that we're really holding on to instead of really finding our own path. And even we raise our kids in that. And when I say our, I'm talking about our as a community. We'll raise our kids and we'll raise everybody else in these traditions and holding on. And then and one of the things that we got to do, I think, in our community, we got to allow our kids who are more free thinkers than us, who have been raised in a different time, allow them to be free and ask the question that were deemed as disrespectful. When we were coming up, a lot of things, man, you always talk about, like a lot of stuff we were talking about, like you couldn't even ask a question, and this taps into that, the religion part and whatever religion that you feel. You know, I don't believe that we serve a God that is just as bitter and small minded as we make him. You know, he's not gonna be like, hey, you
Yeah.
question this or you question that. So our parents feel the same way. Even with our parents, we got to talk about our parents saying, hey, because I said so. I get it because you said so, and sometimes that is the correct answer because you know better. But also just allowing kids to ask questions because sometimes they just need to know the why behind what they're doing.
You force them to become limited thinkers when you shut them down from asking the question just because you may not have the answer or you just don't feel like answering at that moment. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And a lot of people kind of receive that growing up. And again, that's how they respond to their kid. Me myself, bro, I can admit it. I've even did that, and I had to catch myself because there's certain things that you do subconsciously because it was done to you, and that don't make it good.
You're right, man. And even when bro, you know, I'm an educator, so I'm in the school system, so I see it every day, man. I got my free
Right.
thinkers, I got my
Mm-hmm.
parents who, you know, who come and fuss, and as we talk about that kid hurt, man, which is I'm just truly passionate about. Me and you we've been teammates, we've been friends for years, so doing them plane rides, doing those bus rides, we all share embarrassing stories, whether we laughed at them and we shouldn't have laughed, you know, but we've shared
Right.
those embarrassing stories. You know, we sitting on road trips or headed to games as 20-year-old, you know, guys or 19 yo got, but we still remember what happened to us as a
To the T.
8-year-old,
Yeah.
as a 7-year-old, as a 5-year-old, talking about some hurt that we went through as a, you know, as a kid. Now, and mind you, now we had experienced hurt and trauma also at 18, 19, and
Right.
which is still, but we vividly remember those things that we went through at 8, 9, 10, those earlier years, man. And what I tell people, man, as people think about this and what we say, if you know as an adult, you've experienced some things as an adult. Me and you personally, you know, been through some rough things, but we would not compare those rough things to the things that we've had happen to us as kids because that's what affected us most. And we've now, as grown adults, as fathers, we are trying to fix that stuff that happened to us as a kid. And that's what I mean by kid hurt. You got to be careful. And this is what I tell my parents, and even in high school, I tell my parents, be careful what you're saying and what you're doing because a lot of our kids and us as men, we will spend a lot of time trying to fix the things that happened to us as a kid because we experience so much trauma and so much whatever, you know, some kids experience abuse, some kids experience all of this stuff. And so the kid hurt affects your life more than what you went through as an adult.
You have to create those environments for men to be able to open up about some of the things that happen to them at a young age.
You made a key point. It allows you to be a better friend to your friend. Like, you know, all right, now this is why this person is through that. And then instead of me, when you do something that I don't like, me attacking you, I can say, hey, bro, hey, listen, this ain't that type of situation. I can have a conversation with you about it because I know where it's coming from. It's not that you feel personally or that you're doing personally. It's just your experiences are now coming back up, and now you're kind of pushing that out to the world.
You know, young kids in high school, middle school, you know, dealing with emotions that they were never taught how to maneuver through, you know, cope with, were never given any kind of guidance, right? We oftentimes put the label of bad on these kids, but nobody think to point out that this young person is misguided, right? How can a person behave in a manner that they never saw before?
Exactly,
You
man.
know, how can they grow to be a mature man when they never saw a mature man? How can they grow to be a queen when that's not the image that they see? You know,
Bro,
so oftentimes we judge young people, but they are not the people to judge. They're the people that we need to uplift, you know, and guide and show the direction to go and really give them the light and show them the other side of life, that it is another side of life. Right now, you're growing up in a situation that you can get out of, and we got to show them how. tell them how, give them the experiences, let them talk and touch the people that's actually, was in that situation and got out of that situation. Let them see people that look like you and me, executives and, running this business and even just working a honest job, but just doing it in a manner that is not degrading to themselves. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got to sell their body and they ain't got to gamble on their freedom. We grow up thinking we got to gamble our freedom in order to be successful, bro. And that's, unfortunately, is the visual that a lot of these young black men see, right? That's a lot of what these young black girls see. That's what they look up to. You know what I'm saying? That's what they want to be. So it's kind of like when this is a part of your life, it becomes a norm, and that's all that you're attracted to. So now we're in this vicious cycle that's going on and on and on and on, and we have to be able to get in there, dig deep, show these people that it is cool to be exactly who you are, but with more knowledge than what you've seen, and to kind of overcome what you've been through. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's cool.
People often ask me, man, as I get visitors at the school all the time, I get people asking me, hey, man, you work with them high school kids, man. I know you, bro. I know it's rough. And I say, and they always, man, I be wanting to help our kids, man. What can I, man, you think? I say, bro, the best thing that you can do, and I always tell, the best thing that you can do for the kids, the jits, wherever you from, you got a different word from.
Right.
The best thing you can do, man, is give them some exposure to something different, help spark your interest, and just really talk to them. Like, you ain't gonna, and if you can reach one, because you're gonna have some that are just going to be okay. If you can reach one, even with, I'm not I don't promote them selling the water on the corner and all this and that, but hey, I get it. But I always, if I have $1, whether I take the water or not, and I just try to say something to her. Hey, man, y'all be careful, man. Be careful how y'all walking up to people's cars, man. You can't force it on people, man. Have some tact about yourself. Watch how you walking up. Just give them some little lesson. It may reach the shorty, it may not reach him. But at least I said something to him that I think that could benefit him or her while they're out there. And just also, man, and if you can also, if you're a friend or you an associate of a parent, and you one of those friends that are supporting or saying, girl, you crazy, or man, you talk to your kids like that, man, don't allow that to happen. Don't be that friend that you be like, oh man, you be going off on your kids. Dog, you can't support that. If you seeing, give you the other another example. Just how we all seen the video that went viral. I coach my son's youth football team. We all seen the video that went viral, but what his youth football coach, slaps this kid down like 2 or 3 times on the field. Yeah,
I just saw that yesterday.
And so, for one, I already know how me and you would have reacted, and I know what it would have been the outcome. Like, right. Hands down. But
right.
If I was a coach on the staff with him, we would have smoke right then and there, because you took out grown emotions, frustration as an adult on an 8-year-old football kid who's gonna make many more mistakes in football and that's acceptable. And even as a parent who allowed that to happen, what you have then said is that it is okay for somebody to, for one, go over and not respect your boundaries, and to treat you as if you have done something so shameful when you make a mistake in life. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, if you a friend, don't allow your friend to say, hey man, don't talk to them like that. Especially mothers with boys. Please don't emasculate your boys. Don't call, man, yo punk. Like, don't do that to the boys, because then they gonna grow up one or two ways. And this is for somebody who's in high school. They're gonna grow up one or two ways. Either they're gonna grow up being a docile man and just kind of laid back and let anything happen to them, or they're gonna grow up and be super, super aggressive with women.
Super duper aggressive.
Super aggressive with women. And it kind of happens that because boys something is gonna happen, they kind of tend to be the super aggressive with women. Because and now in his life, he said, I cannot be like this with my mom, but I can be like this with every other woman in my life. Whether it be a teacher, whether it be a girlfriend, I can be like this with any other woman, because I can't be like this with my mom. And so, as a friend, don't support them when they doing that.
You can't, because now they grow up thinking, Like you say, you're emasculating them. They grow up with no control all their life. They're being treated as just an animal. You know what I mean? And then so now when they get of age and they're able to retaliate, or if somebody responding to them in that manner, they're gonna retaliate and it's gonna go completely out of hand. But it ain't the person that said that or did that to them. They really responded because they really responded to their mother.
Exactly.
And they don't even know it. You know, and that's the sad part about it, because you feeding them to be just this, you know, just this vicious animal, or like you said earlier, the laid back individual that just completely get ran over. You
And
know,
neither one is good
and
for
we
them.
don't want to none of it, man. So they gotta have balance. It's okay to discipline your kid, but at the same time, it needs to be 80-20 or 90-10. You know, 80 or 90, you speaking life into them, let them know what they can do or can be. And then that 10-20%, you disciplining them. You letting them know, you know, how they can do things better. But this is how you encourage them as well. So now they know right from wrong. They know, okay, well, I do this. This is not what the outcome is supposed to be. And let me think about the positive outcome. You give them options.
You got to think about it, man. When we went to college, man, we seen the young ladies and the young men who were sheltered, who didn't have any freedom or who didn't experience any type of teenage life. They spent their whole freshman year like finding themselves, and which most freshmen do, but they spent theirs like partying, just every event, everything, because they didn't have that. And we're speaking on, at least they even made it to college. So we got to think about the ones that don't make it to college. And not saying that college is the end all be all, but the ones that don't make it to college, they're going to take the chances out here in the community and in the regular world. And they're going to do all of the stuff that they didn't get a chance to do, and which is, you know, they're going to club and party and do whatever they think they want to do. And they're going to spend a few years trying to find themselves and find that's not the way. Of course, you're supposed to have fun as a young person, but that's just not the way. And man, just when you said that, man, it made me think about a particular example in school, man. I had a parent that, you know, say some of the, probably one of the most harsh things I've ever heard a parent say to a kid. And of course, you know, I said my piece. I can't say what I exactly said to her, but I heard a parent tell a young lady that I knew. The young lady had gotten in trouble, and I was conferencing with the mom. I didn't want to suspend her, really. I just wanted a conference with the mom to try to talk to the mom so we can correct the behavior. Because I seen that, you know, and the reason that the girl had a bright future, I could see her, you know, doing something great in life, and I just wanted to try to, you know, change it. And I knew the suspension wasn't the route for her. But the mom came into the conference, we're having a conversation, and I was just kind of giving her a background history of what the young lady had been doing. And she told the young lady, I knew I should have killed you when I was walking around with you in my stomach. And so
what?
Hold
on.
Yes.
Hold on. What? Hold on. We just can't just skip over that, bro.
As a parent, that's what she said to her child.
How old was this child?
This child was 17 at the time.
17 years old, and the mother told her she knew she should have killed her when she was walking around pregnant with her in her stomach.
Absolutely.
Bro, that's
so
disgusting.
Of course, I instantly sent the young lady out the room because she instantly broke down into tears. I sent her out the room. I said my piece with mom and basically ended the conference and tried to do some other things as far as, you know, as an administrator and what I needed to do for the child rights as well. But these are the type of things, and this is what I'm saying. Like, if you are a friend of a parent and who is saying crazy, demeaning things to their kids, you got to be that friend to be like, hey man, don't talk to the kids like that. Don't say that to the kids. Right. You know, like, right. I understand they bad. I understand they're doing this and that, but it's certain lines you shouldn't cross with your kids. And I got many other stories like that. You know, that's probably one of the most extreme that I can think about that I've heard a parent say to a kid. And you know, where that young lady headspace probably went that day, and the struggle that she ended up graduating and going on, but where her head went that day, or what she wanted to do that day, probably crushed her, and you know she's never gonna forget that your mom actually said that.
That is a different type of pain, man. That's a different type of dagger being, you know what I mean, like shoved into you.
Because
Like
that's supposed to be your ultimate protector.
your ultimate protector. So if the lady that birthed you said she should have killed you, how do you think she gonna go through our life?
And so that's what I'm saying. This now and as I say, that young lady, but I seen a change in her. Although she was able to go on and graduate and she secured a job and all of that, but the numbness I seen in her after that day, it wasn't like she wasn't a problem, because she wasn't a problem kid. She was doing just a teenage thing, but the numbness that I seen in her after that, it was kind of like, oh, I'm just going through this, doing what I need to do. I'm kind of out here on my own, you know, and I'm not really. She used to be a group of friends. She played sports. She stopped playing sports. Was like, I need to get a job and kind of just figure this thing out on my own, and really didn't talk to anybody, you know, after that day. So that young lady is going to struggle, and that's the key hurt that we talk about. Like, this young lady heard this at 17 years old, and now she has to try to figure out the rest of her life. So if the person who birthed you who's supposed to love you says something to you like that, there's no way you're going to go through life trusting and thinking that people who love you, even if somebody's showing you unconditional love, you're going to always hold back and hold something in your mind, because you're going to think that everybody kind of possibly feels this way about you.
What do you think is the root of all this? Well, even in that case, that mom talking to that daughter like that, I can bet money that her mama used to talk to her just like that.
Absolutely, we
and
already
the grandmama used to talk to her exactly.
And that's the cycle, and that's the thing we always talk about trying to break. Because that young lady, she didn't get to that point, you know. She didn't get to that point where she just felt like that was okay. Somebody had talked to her like that, and somebody had talked to her mom like that, and somebody had talked to them like that. And really, man, I try not to go here, but as we know, you started with the Willie Lynch letter, and you know, although they say that doctrine is not real and it's not been proven, but I think the tactics and the systematic oppression is real.
And that's the blueprint of it.
That's the blueprint of it. Even when you get past that, and we talk about this, when we get to the 70s and you get to the Black Panther Party, and we talk about, you know, one of the things that started after the Black Panther Party was dismantled, and we get to the point of public assistance and public housing and WIC and Section 8. Well, all these programs are created. Just like me and you right now, Coty, we both have careers. We both have we both you know, lead our households and you know, for the most part, take care of a lot of the financial things that go on in our household. But if you and me were to lose our job right now and go into you know, just kind of a trouble with finding work and going through all of this and that, it's a program for women. It's a program for women. But the number one part of that program is that you cannot, and you've been a provider for your household, you know, for years. But the number one the number one rule about that program is that your wife cannot have you in the house. Now, you've been the provider. You just fell on some hard times with employment. It's no fault of your own. The company may move and go overseas or whatever. But the number one thing about that program is that the husband cannot be in the house. We'll give you all of this assistance, but we cannot have the father in the house. And so when those programs started to happen in those, you know, in the 60s and 70s, and women started to be like, hey, you know, I know we're going through something, but hey, I need to really get this assistance for the kids and you know, so we can have some security. And the black men were kind of forced out and couldn't find work and couldn't find this and couldn't find that. You know, they were, you know, whether I'm gonna sell the drugs or I'm gonna turn to the drugs to use them. So you had all of these things that were going on, and it's like you said, it is to the T. And so that's the systematic part of making sure that we can keep, because what they do know is what they seen in the 50s and the early 60s is that if that father or that man is in the household, that is going to be a better household. If that father is in there, so they're making sure that if we can keep the men, if we can keep the men away, and we can keep these, keep the women thinking that, hey, you don't need this man, and you don't need this, and you don't need that. And of course, we got a whole bunch of stuff that influences that, whether it be the music, that's a whole nother topic for another day, whether it be the music or this or that, or conversation, whether it be social media, because it's make sure we keep that man out. Let's pin everybody against each other. We're going to pin each other. We're going to pin the tall ones against the short ones. We're going to pin the dark
skin and dark ones. Yeah.
We're going to pin. So we have so much of this internal conflict going on that we have to resolve within ourselves first. But you said something. I want you to say, you said something in your last podcast, and you said something, man. Share information is so valuable, bro.
Yes,
share information. That is the biggest way we as a community, we have to share information with each other. We have to, and we have to get from the understanding that if you got, it takes away from me. And I think we kind of live in this pie, as I always say, in this pie of this piece of world. Like, if I take a slice, I'm eating my slices, but if I got to make sure I keep all the slices to myself, because if I share any with you, or I even share the recipe with you, you're going to be able to have more pieces than I have, or more pies than I have. So we got to understand that it's not that mental. We don't have to have that mentality. Just because I share with you, I give you, if I bought a house in this neighborhood and I knew the program that helped me get a house in this neighborhood, I should be telling most of my people who I think are in the position that can do this or can go through this program are ready. I should share that information with them. Right. It ain't no, but what we do? Nah, man, I ain't telling nobody. Yeah, nah. Well, whatever, man. We don't share information because we feel that if we don't. If I feel like if I give it to you, you're gonna be better than me, and we gotta stop thinking like that, man.
Yes. Because what's for you is what's for you.
It's enough higher for everybody.
Right.
It's enough for everybody.
We got to encourage each other. We got to motivate each other. We got to continue to push each other. We got to want to see each other do great, man. Life ain't going to be no better for you just because you can show that you can stun on somebody. Man, show that person how to live. Like, come on, man.
You touch my hard now, man. You got to touch my hard now, brother. Listen, and that's the information for them. Because you can stunt and look back on your people and be like, oh, well, I got this and y'all don't, man. That's not cool, man. And this the thing, Wood. You ran track.
Yep.
We all, and if we imagine this thing as the race, man.
The relay?
Wood. As a relay, or even just a race in general. We all started the race. There's no way we could run a probably I'll say a 1,200 meter, 1,800 meter race or whatever it may be, started 400 meters behind. So if we equivalent that, to years, we started the race. We all started the race 400 meters behind, and we couldn't even run up. Right. We definitely came with a 400 meter race, started 400 meters behind. But this is the thing about it. We'll start the race, and I say, and one of us finds a shortcut. One of us finds a way to catch up or make up some ground. And instead of us saying, hey, this is the way to make up the ground. This is the way that you could, you could cut through here. You can do this right here. Or when you get them in the curve or you catch them in the straight,
right.
Go do whatever the track thing is. You can, we won't share that information. We're going to just make sure that we can keep up the shortcut so we can make up the distance. Let us make up the distance. And we'll say, hey, follow me. I got the system to make up the distance. But we all started 400 meters behind because we started 400 years behind them. And we've made up ground. We've made up tremendous ground. I don't think no other people in this world could do what we did, started so far behind. But we got to continue to help each other and assist each other, man. And when it comes to passing that baton, pass the baton on to somebody else and let them run.
Just know who you are. Know what the goal is. Ultimately, it's about winning. And we can't win as a culture if we don't unite and get together, share this information. You know what I mean? You know, knowledge is powerful. Share knowledge is more powerful. And absolutely will help you with knowing who you are and knowing your self-worth and your value. Me, myself, I recommend that most of us, all of us, seek counseling for a lot of things that happen to us because it's very, very important, specifically because of some of the things that we were just speaking of with, you know, just kind of the self-love part. And a lot of self-love or lack thereof is based on or coming from kid hurt. But that kid hurt came from somebody in your household. And a lot of times we don't want to admit our kid hurt because it's going to seem like we rejecting the person in our household, whether it's mom, dad, grandma, granddad, whoever raised us. We feel like we're rejecting them. So the love that they gave us, we feel like we're disrespecting them if we speak on some of the pain that they gave us too. Seek some counseling, talk about that, create a safe space for yourself to be able to vocalize and verbalize some of that pain and connect the dots so you can understand why you are the person that you are. Because once you get clarity with that, man, you're so powerful, and it's going to help you in all relationships in life. You know, whether it's, you know, if you're married, you know, if you just have significant other, business relationships, friendships, all of that will help you maneuver throughout life and understand like your value. All right, you have more clarity as to why you do some of the things that you do. You'll be a lot more self-aware and social aware, so you can interact with people differently, right? You can kind of take some of that pain that you have and turn that into power and push that on to other people because you know where other people are coming from. Because most of us suffer from the same thing, but most of us hold it in, and most of us hold it in. Some of us, you know, speak it out. So when the people that speak these things out start to normalize it, it'll become a comfortable conversation to have. But just a little message to the wise, you know, when you're going through a healing process, it's going to be very, very uncomfortable, and it's going to hurt more than some of the pain sometimes because you got to relive this situation and you're at a different stage in your life. But once you get over that hump of the pain, revisiting, that healing process begin. And once you start going through that healing process, it's a beautiful thing. It's like a caterpillar turning to a butterfly.
You realize so much about yourself. You realize it, and you gotta be able to go through that process. It's like you said, it's a tough process. It's something I know both of us as therapists, we've both sought therapy. you know, and it's been one of the, you know, and it's been one of the most amazing things that I've been through. And even if you're not into the and you just not at that place yet, man, it is some amazing people out here on social media, man, that I follow that just kind of gives out tidbits when it comes to the therapy. A lot of these people, and even me as a therapist, I look at some and I'm like, man, I have to step my game up because they're giving out some awesome information. So if you just want to be in the comfort of your own home, or you just want to read some affirmations or something like that, use social media for what you need to use it for. Like, you know, of course you can get your entertainment or whatever, but it's some amazing therapists, it's some amazing people. You can find therapy even in just some of the people that you follow, because some of the stuff they say, you know, is you. Sometimes it hits your soul. Sometimes it you know, you're like, oh man, that's me. Right. I need to tighten up on this, or I need to tighten up on that. So it's some amazing people out here, man. And if you're not comfortable with just going to seek out a therapist right now, but I can suggest this right now, it's a lot easier because you in the virtual world. So, you know, I guess that may be a little bit more comfortable for people. You could do it virtually. But seek out that therapy, man. It is definitely something that is going to help you heal, because you have to learn yourself. You have to learn that what it is about you that if you continue to put yourself through something, what is it about you that allow yourself to keep going through certain situations? What is it about me to, you know, to give off these type of vibes or to attract these type of people, whatever it is. But it's really discovering yourself.
That's true. But, you know, even just to add to that, you have to be willing to hear your shortcomings. All right. And walking into it, you have to be willing to receive what may be a little hard to receive. People, that's very important. So just be open minded when you go into these sessions and know that there's always somebody out there for you. You have to find that person. You know, if you seek out counseling and that first counselor you connect with, like there's no rapport being built, don't say counseling for you. Just find a counselor for you. You know, just seek out the right person. You'll have a different bond. Yeah, you'll have a different bond and connection with different people. But you have to be willing to give it a shot. You know, a real shot, because everybody do things differently, and I don't want a negative experience to, you know, push you away from something that could be so positive.
Just to elaborate on what you said, when you're reaching out there for counseling, some people don't have not had the experiences that you have. So, you know, and I'm not saying this that you have to choose either or, but like sometimes if African American therapists have a little bit more insight on what it's like to be an African American. Some, you know, if you're a Caucasian person, you're a white person in the world, you definitely have more experience on what it's like to be a white person. Not to say they can't be great therapists. I don't want you to get that misconstrued, but I do want you to understand that, hey, you're not gonna sometimes you're not gonna receive it on that first, you know, session. A lot of times people go in there and be like, all they did was asking me about myself, and then this and that. I just talked the whole time, and then it's because they're trying to get that background information. They need that background information on you to start to develop a plan, or you know, we'll say a treatment plan for you. So they need that background information. So as you said, hey, sometimes it's about people who have your experiences. Sometimes it's not about people who have your experiences or who've had it from a different lens. Also, give it time. It is not going to be magical. More than likely the first time or the first session. It's not. You're gonna do a lot of talking. You're gonna express a lot of yourself and how you feel and what is going on. And sometimes it's a little different. Every therapist is different. But just know that you have to give it time and you have to work the program.
I want you to give a little advice to that young kid who just kind of struggling in life at the home front. They willing to allow themselves to be somebody. They're pushing to be somebody, but they don't just have that that encouraging ear. They don't have anybody necessarily speaking life into them. Like, because I know that you're in the school system, and you see this every day. So what do you tell that young man that's kind of struggling, but he want to be something, but it's hard for him to see the light? Like, what do you tell that young man?
As one of our old coaches said, you know, birds of a feather flock together, and generally they all have the same destination. Find somebody who is trying to go somewhere where you're trying to go. You have to surround yourself, and I know you may struggle at home. Get yourself involved in extracurricular activities. It doesn't have to be a sport. It can be a club, organization. It can be the chess club. It can be the science club, be the robotics club. Get yourself involved in some other type of thing. So for one, you can minimize, and just keeping it real, you can minimize your time at home. You can minimize your time in that toxic environment. Get yourself involved in something. Try to find you a group of friends that is headed in the direction that you're going. And generally, if some adult that is around you that you probably have a connection with, talk with that adult. They can probably give you some advice. Have somebody that you can talk to and that you can share information with. It doesn't have to be the teacher that you have. It could be a teacher that you don't have or you used to have. You know, it could be your next door neighbor. It could be someone. Have some type of person that you can kind of vent to and talk to, and just try to get involved in more things, because the more exposure that you have, the more things that you're involved in, you have a better chance of, finding out different things and going to different places. We have kids who are going on to some schools that they probably wouldn't go. And these schools have simply admitted our kids because they need African American boys. But if you don't know to apply to that school that generally needs African American boys, there's no way that you would have found out. So you don't have to be the best student, but they'll get you in, and basically these schools will put you in on a 5-year program. So your first year is just kind of getting up to par and learning college life, taking all the prerequisites, getting you there, because you might not be the best student at this. So, but these schools will allow you to get in because they need African American boys. So but getting in these different groups and clubs and organizations, you find out all this information. So reach out to some people, talk to people, change your circle. If you have a negative circle, change your circle, get around some people that are doing something positive, that are going in the direction that you're going.
My brother Rodericus Rogers, a.k.a. Lil Cuz, a.k.a. Twin. All right, man, but appreciate you rocking with me though, big dog.
Thank you, brother.